Hi, welcome to the Rules of Engagement. Today we have Scott. Scott is in construction. He is a divorced father of two lovely, lovely young boys. And Scott's going to talk to us today about what it was like to be in a relationship, transitioning into being a single parent, and then transitioning into trying to have a new relationship. As we all know, none of us get married to get divorced. And unfortunately, when that happens, this concept of having to parent alone comes into play, and that's where Scott is right now. So welcome, Scott.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate you coming. I know it's not easy to not only talk about these things but also be on camera.
Yeah.
But I do know you've been on camera before because you do have a show. And what's the
Yes.
name of that show? I can't remember.
Currently, Help I Wrecked My House
There
on
you go.
HGTV.
Yes,
Yeah.
so Scott's already used to the camera. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, tell me a little bit about. Let's go back to being married and then deciding to get divorced. Can you give me a little bit of history?
Yeah, so in my marriage was tough. Obviously, I'm here, right, where I'm
Right.
at. It was a tough marriage, and at the time when we were focusing on the kids, I just felt as if I wasn't able to parent the way I wanted to parent. And through the long 14-year marriage I was in, I finally made the decision to, exit the marriage and see if I could parent the way I want to parent and see how it goes. And it's been a bit of a battle, but
Right.
but fun.
So I think that, like you said, you put 14 years in, and
Yeah.
as we know, many marriages don't make it today, unfortunately, and they don't make it for different reasons. Yours definitely, you tried for many years, even though you knew it was difficult.
Yeah.
You still kept going until you decided that it may be better, from our conversations before, that it would be better for the children to have that,
Right.
maybe a solid parenting with you and then the parenting with their mother, and they would now have you as being able to make decisions for them and actually have a good structured relationship with them. So I know that's difficult, that transition.
Yeah.
Even in bad marriages, it's hard to divorce because we have a dream and a history. We have history and then we have a dream of the future. And none of us get married to get divorced. And the breakdown of that dream is very hard. So you did it,
Yeah.
and I know it's been tough.
Yeah.
And now you're in that role of, parenting yourself as a single parent.
Yep.
And then now trying to work into having a relationship, which for a single parent with children is not easy.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the single parenting.
Yeah, so I'm loving the single parenting aspect of it because, again, I get to do what I feel is best on my time. And that's what I'm realizing through this divorce, is that it is my time. I get to do what I want to do and parent them the way I want to and punish them or not punish them when I want to. And I that part of it has been just exhilarating. That's why a lot of the reason why I got divorced. That initially I didn't want to because I thought it would hurt the kids, and I was doing anything and everything so it didn't do that for the kids. And then I realized, well, that's what's best for the kids is actually to do this. So as I'm going through it, I'm learning myself and how I really do want to parent, because I haven't been able to experience that fully yet, because I've always been worried that I was going to get in trouble if I did something a certain way with them. And so it's fun, but I'm learning as I go. But overall, it's been great.
So I do think that when you divorce, even if you divorce from someone that you should,
Yeah.
because sometimes divorces happen when the couples could work it out, but they don't. But in some, it's an absolute, and I do believe in your case it was an absolute,
Yeah.
that you still have to co-parent.
Right.
So
Right.
here you are, you can be your single parent, and it must be refreshing to sort of say, no, we're not doing this.
Right.
Well, I'm going to be able to parent myself
Yeah.
and with the ideas and beliefs that I have, which we know are always in the favor of your children,
Yes.
because I know that they come first for you.
Absolutely.
So there you are, establishing this single parenting, and now you are going to venture into dating, so you're not
Yes.
alone. And that, as we know, is one of the toughest areas for both sides, whether it's for you or whether it would be for your former wife,
Right.
is that you have these children and now you're going to venture into a relationship. So tell me a little bit about how you saw that before you decided to have a relationship.
How I saw it, like
How you thought it would.
how I thought it would
play
go.
Yes.
I thought it would go where I bring this lovely woman into the lives of my children, and they get to experience her love and care, and then her and I will live happily ever after, and we just hug the whole time. Well, it doesn't seem to be going that way necessarily, and what I've learned is
I
it's
think that was Disney. Yeah. So,
yeah. What I've learned is there's a lot of intricacies to this, for the kids, for the new girlfriend, for the ex-wife, and for myself. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize are involved in this. How do you? Well, first question was, when do I introduce her
Right.
to the children? When do I tell the ex about her? Do I tell the ex about her? And then it's, once they are introduced, how are they going to be introduced? Am I going to go to dinner, formal sit down dinner with the four of us, or do I go to a park and she randomly shows up, or so all of this was, every step of the way has been a thoughtful process that isn't easy. And it's been worth it, but
Right.
it hasn't been easy. Every step of the way has been a thoughtful process that isn't easy. And it's been worth it, but
Right.
it hasn't been easy.
So I think that one of the reasons that doesn't make it easy is because we now have three personalities in the mix.
Yeah.
We have yours, we have the former wife that you know her personality, we have the new partner and
Yeah.
you know sort of her personality, not as well as you will after 14 years.
Yeah.
But you now have all these emotions and understandings and thoughts
Yeah.
to put into one mix, and you are that one glue in the middle that
Right.
has to try and figure that out. And so I'm sure that has been quite a juggling act at times.
It has.
And so tell me, what would you say is the hardest part?
The hardest part for me is to figure out, I think I know what's right for the kids, but I second guess myself left and right. And when I'm introducing somebody else and I'm hearing opinions from the ex, from the new, about how I'm doing things, and it's just, I don't know myself sometimes. So it's hard for me, the hardest part is to really trust in myself that I know how to parent my children the best. And to listen, but still feel confident that I know what I'm doing.
I think that you couldn't have put it better, because
You taught me that.
Yeah, thank you. In reflection of what you're saying is exactly what you started out with. You came into a job that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
So it would be not that you can't parent, it's you've always co-parented.
Right.
And then suddenly that role of co-parenting is gone. So you're learning a whole new job. It's like being in construction,
Yeah.
but then going into architecture. They're in the same field, but they have different tools. They have different decision-making skills. And so that's what's happening for you. You're transitioning, and in the same time, you're going into the world of having a new relationship.
Yes.
And so you're sort of paralleling a life with two different things to do at the same time.
Right.
So you're having to learn both.
Yep.
Which makes you really, really smart, because you're managing to do it. Maybe not always as well as you want
Yeah.
to, but
There
as
you go.
good as you can. So I do think you have to be sort of not hard on yourself when you're learning single parenting, because it truly is its own beast.
Yeah.
It is not co-parenting.
Yeah.
Co-parenting is depending and a fluidity that two people have. Co-parenting is you make decisions sometimes and they do. Co-parenting is that you have the same ideas and same thoughts.
Yeah.
Single parenting means you have all of those to do yourself. So
Yeah.
you get no relief. Do you realize that?
Yeah, no.
I bet you've never I bet you've never thought about
Yeah,
that.
you're right.
It's 24/7.
Yep.
When you're co-parenting, you relinquish your children at times.
Yeah.
Where you're not even thinking about them.
That's interesting.
But as a single parent, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
And then to bring into that a new relationship, which in its own right should sort of be 24/7 because you've decided to be with someone.
Yes.
But now you have 2 full-time jobs and you're in construction.
Yeah.
So you have 3 jobs.
Yes.
So tell me how you're trying to build a new relationship.
That's been one of the more difficult ones, but I'm trying to understand myself again. So same thing. So if I can trust, I feel like I'm so I don't know who I am sometimes that I can't be who I am for my girlfriend. And so for me, I'm really working on figuring out what I want, how to express what I want in a nice way, and to really listen to her and her needs and desires when it comes to this divorce process and the children.
So I would say that what we just talked about was learning to be a single parent is a full-time project.
Yeah.
It's like going back to school and starting all over. And doing that would not give you room to sort of, like we said, when you're in a 2-parent family, there are times you don't think about the children. You're just thinking about yourself.
Right.
So right now, you have to think about these children.
Yeah.
24/7. And so how do you develop a sense of being a man in a new relationship? So that would be in itself a hard task, just like learning to be a single parent. And so you have to not be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And something you just said is, sometimes I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
You must probably do know who you are. You just don't
question
know.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me what kind of things you question.
I question sometimes with my younger one, am I parenting him, am I coddling him too much? Or am I, or if I don't coddle him, then is he too sad? Am I not being nice enough and he's sad over there, but yet I'm supposed to be a father and help him? Or, so that's a big battle for me to figure out. And on my older one, I just try to connect. He's 13 and connecting with a 13-year-old is difficult. So I just do anything and everything I can to be one-on-one with him and connect.
And then you have your relationship.
Yeah, well, that we see you for, so.
Right, yeah. So in that, we are looking at the fact that you are trying to build these different sort of units in your life, we could call them.
Yeah.
And that fluidity between them has to be there too, because you
Yeah.
have to blend all of them together to function. But you still have to be you.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you asked yourself, do I really lose sight of myself? Would you say yes?
At times, yeah.
And so what happens when you lose sight of yourself?
For me, what that looks like would be just questioning everything I'm doing. In the relationship sense, it would be, let's say I'm struggling with something that happened in our relationship, and I'm just questioning myself on how do I bring this up? Do I even bring this up? Am I going to create an issue? And if I bring it up, am I right? Am I flooding her, which is something you've always, am I flooding her with all my emotions, or am I able to just express how I feel? So I don't understand that balance yet.
So that's really not knowing yourself. That's what it comes back to.
Yeah. Let's say I'm struggling with something that happened in our relationship, and I'm just questioning myself on how do I bring this up? Do I even bring this up? Am I going to create an issue? And if I bring it up, am I right? Am I flooding her, which is something you've always, am I flooding her with all my emotions, or am I able to just express how I feel? So I don't understand that balance yet.
So that's really not knowing yourself. That's what it comes back to.
Yeah.
If we push everything aside and we push having to learn to be a single parent, having to learn to be a new person in a relationship, and we just move those aside and we just say, who am I?
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of what you're not doing. Maybe if you stop long enough to say, who am I and what do I feel, rather than how do I feel based on if my son's upset, or how do I feel if my girlfriend would not like it this way.
Sure.
So what you're doing is you're molding all these other pieces into who you are, rather than become congruent with who you are and say, this is me and this is how I feel, rather than bring it in.
Okay.
You go from the center out. What would that be like?
Exhilarating, but yet nerve-wracking. I think of it in the relationship sense. So if I told my girlfriend everything I felt, I feel like that's just like overwhelming. Like that's way too much to be telling somebody something, because she feels like, I think she would take that inward, and like that would be.
But what if you told yourself?
Oh, just talk to myself?
Actually say, a perfect sentence would be, I'm okay.
Yes.
I'm okay on who I am. I'm okay to be me. I'm okay to be not the best parent, the best boyfriend. I'm okay to be me, because that is what I'm not hearing. I'm hearing that you've come into this, you've left this marriage, which is tough in itself, because whether it's right or wrong, there is a whole slew of things that have to be done to get to the end, and then there's a lot of guilt and shame that goes along with that, when you think that you've invested for 14 years and then you've walked away. However, that's one of the things that worked for you, for the right thing for you to do. And where are you? You know, this has happened. You're parenting is trying to learn to be a single parent. You are learning to be a boyfriend in a new relationship.
Yeah.
And where are you? That's what I don't hear during this whole conversation. I don't hear you say it's okay to be me.
I think with the divorce, with the challenges that have been going on in my business, I just feel like, extremely judged left and right, and everybody's telling me these bad things about me, and it's hard then to take that and feel confident with that's who I am, and those are the mistakes I made, but it's just hard to feel okay with that. I've been doing a lot of I've been trying to be on my own. That was a suggestion from you to, as soon as, if my girlfriend's doing something and I don't have my kids, I automatically just start calling friends and like, hey, do you guys want to hang out? Like, I just don't feel comfortable, I guess, in doing it by myself. So I've been working on just staying home and honestly reading. One of which is your book, and I took notes, so I wanted to ask you some questions, to be honest, and try to just focus on building myself and understanding how I feel about things.
Right.
And I find that through spirituality or reading, or just one time I just went off roading and just sat in the middle of the desert just to do this, and it's very it's been helpful, but I'm not there yet.
So I would say, Scott, you lost you.
Yeah.
In that whole part of changes. There's so many areas where you haven't reflected on you. There is, like we say, you're a parent 24/7, and in that you have to be able to find you.
Yeah.
Being in a new relationship, you have to find you. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say. It's easy to focus on what you're not doing, but I think you've lost sight of what you are doing. And to be congruent with it's okay to be you. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say that today, that if you don't start thinking it's okay to be me, that if I have this thought, I don't have to go out and try and figure out, is it the right thought?
Right.
I have to say it's okay because it's a thought I have, and it's okay. Because if you don't, you do that same thing. You're looking for others to validate.
Yeah.
Whether it be from your children, is he sad? Did I make him sad? What can I do so he's not sad? Again, you have to say to yourself, I'm okay. I'm a good dad. He's sad.
Yeah.
Something's going on with him.
Yeah.
Rather than think, what can I do to change that? Because being a good dad, being a good enough father is all you need to be. There's no such thing as a perfect father.
Right.
But if you love them and you care for them, you nurture them, and they know that, then you're the good enough father.
Yeah.
All the other stuff just falls into place. And you have to use that same philosophy in your relationship. If you can't be you, then how can you have a successful relationship?
Yeah.
And that's what you need to be looking towards. I wonder if that makes sense, does it?
It does. It does make sense.
And what would you do to be able to achieve that?
Just keep repeating, I am okay.
Yeah.
Try to build some self-esteem a little bit.
Is it okay to be you?
Yeah, and it's okay to be me, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you need to be proud of that statement. It's okay to be you.
Yeah.
You are, and if you don't, if in addition to saying it's okay to be you, you have to say I'm okay. It's not just okay to be you, but you are okay broken. You're okay not making the right decisions. You're okay making mistakes, because you know what? That's human nature.
Yeah.
And you're only you. And you can be that person. And I would say on both sides, you could do exactly the same thing. Whether it's
you mean the kids or the girlfriend?
And yes. So before we end, I just want you to tell me how hard it is to transition into a new relationship. Because for people watching, and I'm hoping, anyone watching will get from you that challenge that it is.
Yeah.
Tell me how that has been for you.
For me, it's been a big challenge. A challenge I wasn't expecting. It may have been too soon, but because I haven't really figured out myself, so I worry that maybe I needed to really settle in the divorce and settle in a single parent and then bring a relationship to the table. But now that I'm here where I'm at, and I'm very excited that I have her, I'm just trying. I'm figuring out how to make her feel comfortable and make my kids feel comfortable. And like you were saying, it's like a full-time job for both. The challenges are definitely different than I would have expected them to be.
Right. So going into a relationship as soon as you did, I agree, could have been one of the difficulties that you have incurred, because you haven't had a chance to really develop what we were talking about, the full-time parent, which is a learning that you needed, a learned experience that you didn't have when you now decided to take on a third job of a new relationship. But you did, and you're in it. And so now you want to make it work. So I do believe the one way to keep working on it isn't just to be looking at what is happening in the other two arenas, is to actually look in your own arena. And the more you are okay with you, the more they are going to work out. And they are going to have their ups and downs, and every ups and down can't be yours. If your son's sad, or you don't quite fulfill the needs of your girlfriend, those belong to others. You have to realize that you're doing what you're doing because you can and you are able to. You don't have to be this person that makes sure everybody's bucket is full.
True.
Whether they're 13 years old or 8 years old or 30 years old, it doesn't matter. A relationship forms in that fluidity. And when you have that, then you understand each other. And the kids will understand you too. If they're sad and there's no real reason other than maybe they're not getting what they want, in a marriage you may not suddenly feel guilty and what can I do and how can I make them feel better. You might think, what's up bud, or what's up. You would just say that. But as a single parent, you have to be aware of not overcompensating, and that's important. But as a single parent, you have to be aware of not overcompensating, and that's important. But I think you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate you coming today. And I hope you got something from this.
Oh, absolutely.
And always. I'm hoping that our audience also got something from it. So again, this is the Rules of Engagement, and I want to thank Scott for coming here and sharing how difficult it is to navigate through a divorce into single parenting and then starting a new relationship. Both I give him 10 marks for because it is a challenge. So once again, this is Dr. Dorothy O'Neill, and this is The Rules of Engagement.